Hello, my name is Emily Johnson, and welcome to Teddy Bear Wisdom. Today, I'm going to tell you how you should be able to beat any collection agency or junk debt collector in court without a lawyer. Please keep in mind, this is not legal advice. These are just some techniques that have worked for me and that I believe will work for you as well. If you do get something out of this video, please remember to like and share. Okay, so here we go. First and foremost, you receive a letter of demand from either the courts, or you receive a letter of demand from the collection agency in the mail. Okay? The first thing I want you to do with that letter is I want you to date it. Okay? If you have multiple copies of the actual court documents, what I like to do with those is I like to pick a copy that has the suing attorney's name and also their attorney number. Okay? So you put the date on the paperwork, whether it be court paperwork or whether you just receive something in the mail. You put, if sued in court, I will defend myself. I know of no known business relationship that I have with this entity, so I will not be paying them anything. You put, please leave my credit alone and only contact me by mail. And then you send that in. Okay? You send one into the collection agency and also a copy into the courts if need be, and you always keep a copy for yourself. About 2 weeks later, if it was just sent by the collection agency to you, you should get another letter in the mail. You answer that in the same manner and send it back. Make sure that you're keeping a copy for yourself. Okay? Now, depending on how old the debt is, or if the collection agency believes that you can actually afford to pay the debt, they may or may not sue you. It just depends. LVM Funding, for example, they're notorious for buying old, very expired, very outdated debt. Okay? So, by the way, this is called credit piracy, just in case you don't know. Okay, because you didn't sign a contract with them. Your contract with Capital One, American Express, whomever, TD Bank, whomever, right? Okay. So after you answer the letters, let's just say that you get a letter from the court giving you a time or a date to show up. You show up on that date and you go into the courtroom. You should have your recording device on your phone up and ready to record. You know, the courts frown on that, but you'll never get a second chance to make a permanent record, okay? And to have a permanent record. When you go into that court, you want to make sure you get the court clerk's name. And if you can get a picture of that person, go ahead and get a picture of them. Your court workers are public servants. They work for you. That is actually your courtroom. You pay for it. So they shouldn't really have a problem giving you their name, okay? You also want to get the attorney's name that is present there on behalf of the collection agency. You also want to ask him for his attorney ID. Please keep in mind that the attorney ID on the court paperwork is all too often not the attorney ID of the person or the name of the person standing before you. So make sure you ask for that. Okay, on the first day, when you go to trial, you don't sign anything. The only thing I'm going to permit you to sign or permit you to put your name on is a printed sign-up sheet that you have arrived. That is it. You will print your name if and when you do it. Okay, that is it. That is all. Everything else, every other signature you're asked to sign, every time you're asked to sign your signature in that courtroom, after that, you say no, okay? The internal documents that you don't see will say, for example, the collection agency's name, and we are the real owners of this debt, It is that document that they are trying to get you to sign. And then they present that to a judge, and the judge rules in their favor because they go, look, Your Honor, we have a contract. See, she signed or he signed. Okay. So, in the first hearing, you should be in front of a judge usually. They'll read off a lot of names, maybe 100, maybe 200. Everyone who's not there to defend themselves will automatically get a judgment against them. Okay? And when they get to your name, you stand up and say, I'm Emily Johnson, or you say your first and last name, and then you are here to defend yourself. Okay? And after that, after the names are read and they know who's here to defend themselves, the collection agency will then take you into a back room and they will attempt to sign a contract, to get you to sign a contract with them. They're basically just trying to trick you out of your money and trick you into a contract with them because they have no legal standing in any courtroom in America because you didn't sign an agreement with them. So it's imperative that you don't sign anything. This lawyer may say stuff like, we represent the original creditor. He may say they are the original creditor. It doesn't matter what he says. You have to see it as a lie because it is. Nothing that comes out of this man's mouth or this person's mouth is the truth. Okay? So after you tell him that you're not going to make any agreements with him, he may say, okay, let's go to trial. You'll go out, you'll sit on the bench, and then the court clerk will attempt to do the same thing to you. They will attempt to get you to sign the same document that says the collection agency's name and that they are the real owners of this debt. Okay? But the court clerk will say stuff like, you're signing that you're coming to court. So it sounds really innocent and, non-harmful. But it is. You have to tell the court clerk no as well. Okay? And you can let the court clerk ask you a couple times. But then after that, what you should do is you can tell them what to put into the system. You can say, please refuse to sign and hit enter and provide me with my court date. If the court clerk won't do that, ask to speak to a manager and have the manager do that. Make sure you get the manager's name. Ask the manager what his name is or what their name is. They are a public servant as well. Okay, so they shouldn't have a problem giving you that. And then with nothing signed, the case should be kicked out. Okay? But a week before your trial, what you should be doing is calling the court and you should ask them if your case is moving forward. If they say it is, then get off the phone immediately and call your state attorney general's office. Okay? Let them know that you've been sued by a junk debt collector or collection agency and that you didn't sign anything in the first hearing, but your case is still moving forward. Because what that likely means is that the collection agency has falsified your consent on court documents. Pretty much they said that you asked for a continuance when you didn't, so that they could get you to trial in front of a judge that would be favorable to them. Okay? So you want to call the Attorney General's office and let them know what happened. And this is where it's important that you know your attorney's names and their IDs, also the court clerk's name, All right. So, and they should take care of it from there. But if you end up at trial anyway, heads up, people, pay attention. This is important. The first thing that should come out of your mouth, should you find yourself in front of a judge, is, Your Honor, I have no known business relationship with this entity. I didn't sign anything in the first hearing, and I didn't ask for a continuance. Okay? The most important part of that phrase is I didn't ask for a continuance. Please dismiss this case. But I would say it all so that there's no discrepancy. And you want to make sure that you have your recording devices on so that you have a permanent record of this. Okay? The judge should respect that and throw the case out. In the event that they don't, you may have appeal rights. And if the junk debt collector or the collection agency did falsify court documents, then you may be able to get an appeal based on that. Okay? Or you should be able to get an appeal based on that the records were falsified. Okay? So pay attention to how many days you have to file an appeal. All right. With that said, the case should be kicked out. Okay? But even if you win the case, the collection agency may then send the debt back to the original creditor, and they may send out a cancellation of debt. In the year that you receive a cancellation of debt, you will utilize a tax professional. You will go to a tax professional, you will have them fill out your taxes, and you will ask your tax professional to file a 982 form against the cancellation of debt. Okay, what that does, the 982 form, is that pretty much expunges it and makes it so it can't be declared as income for that year. Okay? And there are pros and cons to doing this, but I think the good outweighs the bad. If the debt is really old, you may find that no one files a cancellation of the debt against you because the debt is too old. Okay? But it could temporarily mess up your credit because the debt is just kicked back to your credit report. But to me, that has never been a big deal. I'd rather do it that way. And it only messes up your credit for a little while. Okay? So you can weigh the pros and cons of that, but if you don't have money to have that added as income, then what you want to do is fill out a 982 form against that cancellation of debt. All right? So that's how you do that, and that's how you can beat any collection agency or junk debt collector in court. Okay? That's how you handle credit piracy. Remember, you never signed a contract with them. Your contract was only with the original creditor, Capital One, American Express, TD Bank, whomever. Okay, but that's how that's done. All right, so let's just do a quick recap. You will answer any letters that you receive, any letters of demand, you will answer them. If you go to court, if and when you go to court, you'll have your recording devices ready. And you will ask the attorney for his attorney ID and his name, and also the court clerk for their names. Okay? And then if you find yourself in front of a judge during your trial, you say, "Good morning, Your Honor. I didn't ask for a continuance, nor did I sign anything with this entity in the first hearing. Please dismiss this case." Okay? And then if you get a cancellation of debt after that, after the case is dismissed, you go to a tax professional and you have your tax professional following 982 form against that cancellation of debt. And that should expunge it so you don't have to pay, or you don't have to have it declared as income on your taxes. Okay, guys, that's pretty much all I have for you. Good luck. God bless you. I hope you win your cases, and Have a great rest of your day. Emily Johnson, signing off.